I'm feeling very uneasy, anxious, and depressed. It's not only because of Coco, of my dog, who had this accident. Of course, this means that I'm not, going outside in the woods for 2 hours every day, which I used to do. And that, was putting me in peace with the world and with myself. Of course, it wasn't only that, But it is also because the month of April, which was my birthday, actually, I've received 3 no's. Not the nose, but no. One of them is a grant that I had applied to the Onassis Foundation. And they said, no, well, that's understandable. They said that there were artists who were in a real emergency situation. So they were in a very bad situation, far worse than me, so I can understand that, yeah. The second is a publisher that I had months ago submitted my book, my new book, to them, and they say it's not in, it doesn't match our titles or something like that. And this is something that makes me think, okay, so they publish books by art therapists, by scholars and so on, But, so that's the first thing I think, because of course, the fact of disclosing my past as a drug addict and a prostitute is stigmatizing, is self-stigmatizing, and people are afraid of that. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. And, or at least they don't want that I say it, I should shut up, But the fact that I work on a peer-to-peer basis, I work in prisons on a peer-to-peer basis, and my story anyway is just not easy. Because it challenges power roles and power dynamics. So I think that I have been stigmatized by this publisher. But these are my thoughts, of course. I mean, all writers have been rejected many times by publishers. I mean, Paul Auster was telling about his so many times of being rejected, and now he's a best-selling author, So it's normal, But immediately since this is something that I have lived with always, and although I was afraid of people's judgment and that people would, look at me as, oh, she's mean, or oh, she's a drug addict and a prostitute, or she was that, and you can never change, that society thinks that we can never change, And seeing somebody who transforms completely their lives is scary, because this means that you could also change for the worse, It is scary. It is scary. People need to feel that things are going to stay as they are. Well, not everybody, of course. Those people who have constructed their lives in a certain way, following certain rules and having certain friends and rejecting certain friends, or rejecting certain people, and letting out the bad stuff, Those people, if they see me, they're going to be scared. Because I'm talking about change, and change can be scary. So this is one thing. And then the last thing is a no. I used to work in a prison. I worked there for 2 years. Well, it was like a summer workshop. So every summer for 2 years I've been working there. And this summer I have known that I will not be working there. My work was part of a module in which there were several other people teaching, yeah? And I'm the one who has been pushed away. And again, well, the thing is that when I started working into that prison, they asked me to not tell my story. So prisoners shouldn't know that I have been a drug addict and a prostitute. At the beginning I was like shocked, you know. Then I said, well, I really want to work here, and I'm always open to experiment, you know. And so what if I don't, because I've been disclosing my past for so many years, that what if I don't disclose it, you know? So it was interesting to experiment that, and because they said they wanted something softer and they wanted me as a professional and not as a peer, yeah? So I did it, and I made a little mistakes. It's like, I thought it wasn't so, the rules were so stiff, you know. So to one guy, I told him, you know, in an individual session, one of the prisoners. But then I told the organization that I had said that, you know, and so they were very much like, you have to follow the rules, and you have to be an example following the rules and everything. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, perhaps I'm too used to working on my own and doing whatever I feel like doing, you know. I mean, the thing is that working on your own and being your own leader and doing what you feel like doing, of course you can adapt to, you know, you can collaborate with others. And I've been collaborating with others since a long time, and especially in this last period. But again, I feel that I'm often perceived as a menace, you know, because I say things, yeah, I say what I think, because I can't follow very strict rules, perhaps, you know. And especially this thing of not disclosing my life, I think that is something that shows a problem. Because to me, the peer-to-peer approach is far more effective in terms of desistance from crime, recovery from addiction, far more effective than me there going as a professional and telling them what they should be doing, you know. It's just like, and then another professional who was teaching there, who is supposedly, I imagine that this person hasn't been pushed away, I have been pushed away, but this, so you are pushed away if in the relationship among the organization and the power, you know, you're not good enough in these relationships. And perhaps it's true. I am much better in my relationships to the participant, because I can empathize with the participants far more, you know, and I know that I am far more effective with the participant than this other person who has stayed working for this prison. And this person who has stayed working for this prison used to say, oh, let me see who is intelligent here, you know, things like that, you know, so stigmatizing, you know. I was like in shock to see that approach, like the professor who, you know, knows everything, you know, and let me see if some of you is perhaps intelligent. I mean, how do you dare, you know, how do you dare? So in the end, yeah, I'm glad. I don't want to work with people who say such things, you know, to prisoners. I'm not interested, you know. But anyway, all this to say as well that it's difficult for me to earn my living because it's difficult for the people who decide, who have the money and who decide to give the money. For these people, it is difficult. I can be a menace, you know, because I mean, SPEX is about the reversal of power roles, and I am engaging, and you know, it's just sometimes just my presence. I have been told that it's like just my behavior and in the relationship. I mean, if my focus is totally on evolution, on my evolution and on other people's evolution, because I believe that we're here not to, you know, to be nice and to make a nice life and a happy life. We're here to grow and to evolve, you know. So my point is the evolution. So if you're working with me, you're going to be, in a way, I mean, even unconsciously I do it, you know, pushed towards your evolution. And that means that I might be, you know, uncomfortable, you know, and that the power roles should always be reversing, you know, should always be challenged, you know. And that's why, you know, it's hard for me to earn my living, because the people in power don't want to lose their power. It's not about losing it, it's about challenging it, you know. But power is a taboo. People don't even know how to talk about power. And people don't, I mean, most people in power are afraid to lose their power. Therefore, they cling to it, you know, and they will never be discussing, you know, or open for the place of power that Foucault was talking about. And the place of power, so that is like challenging power, and making challenges to the person in power so that you acquire some power, and then the opposite, you know, place of power. The place of power, if the power roles are reversed, what happens is that both sides acquire knowledge. Otherwise, the person in power keeps their power onto and imposes their power onto somebody else, you know, like this has happened to me in this prison, you know, they are in power, they have decided that I'm not working there anymore, you know. So these power roles, so if the person, if the roles of power are not challenged or reversed, or even not talked about, you know, then what happens is that only the person in power acquires knowledge, you know, the other has to, you know, be always on the vulnerable side, you know. Perhaps I have been put on the vulnerable side, I have been pushed away because with my, you know, behavior unconsciously, I just, you know, challenge power roles, you know, and because of this, I have been pushed away, but that means that I'm powerful. So it's okay, it's okay. Anyway, I feel better now when I have done this video, because I feel that everything is okay. Yeah? But just before this video, I was feeling really sad and lonely and unwanted and feeling the stigma, you know, and yeah.